Game or something?
No.
Where's everybody?
That's Bernie.
Call this meeting to order. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the June 18th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from June 18, 2018 as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Any comments from the audience? Brian?
I'm amazed you didn't have an executive session.
Maybe I just forgot to mention it.
That has its own problems.
Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next is the manager's report.
Okay, thank you very much. The Phoenixville Regional Planning Committee is still working well underway with the regional plan update. The public workshop to discuss the plan, that second workshop will take place Wednesday, August 29th, next month now, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Kimpton Fire Company. Northern Federation met on June 12th, last month at the East Coventry Township Building. And Susan Elks was there. She's a senior planner with Chester County, and she provided an update on Landscapes 3. It was a good meeting. Those draft materials are available also for public comment, and they're online at chestoplanning.org. Many thanks to Parks and Recreation, the commission staff and volunteers for a very successful festival in the park event. It was very well attended. We had a wide range of activities, and I'm sure planning will be underway for next year. The township held a ribbon cutting to commemorate the completion of Phase 1 of Fellowship Trail on June 21st at 6 p.m. It was a very nice evening to celebrate progress on the completion of that phase, and we're certainly working on Phase 2 with St. Matthew's Lutheran Church. The commission also held their first picnic in the park event on June 21st with a great turnout, and the next event will be Thursday, July 19th at 6:30 p.m. featuring yesterday's news. It's 60s, 70s, and 80s hits with blues, rock, and roll. The Picnic in the Park event is, of course, free to the public. And there will be another one in August as well. The township, in coordination with the American Red Cross, is sponsoring a blood drive, and that'll take place Thursday, July 12th from 2 to 7 p.m. It's at Griffith Hall at Ludwig's Corner Fire Company. It's a battle of the badges with the fire company and our police department. I know I donate blood a lot, and I'm fine with it because it doesn't cost me much if I can help somebody. So if you're interested, please let Kathy know. She's taking all of those registrations. Township offices will be closed in observation of Independence Day this Wednesday, July 4th. And the Parks and Recreation Commission and EAC meeting have rescheduled their monthly meetings then to next week on Wednesday, July 11th. The EAC will meet at 5:30. The Parks and Recreation Commission will meet at 7:30. We'll be doing some coordination. They'll be in a small meeting room as we have a zoning hearing at 7 here for the Kevin Plunkett special exception case. It's 943 Dewey's Lane. And township staff have recently met with Impact Entertainment on the Country Spirit Music Festival. We're certainly working through all the coordination, logistics, and understanding where they are with their concert planning. All is on track, and if you have any interest in volunteering on that day, you can certainly do that. And any other information, just go through the CountrySpiritUSA.com website. Cheater Mill Bridge is closed until further notice, as you're well aware, and I'm in contact with PennDOT to get a schedule for repair. And we anticipate closing on Bird Coed hopefully by the end of July, but we have anticipated the first week of August as our deadline on that. And lastly, I just want to mention that we had discovered an email address was created in the township soliciting, well, actually asking different organizations to send requests for donations and charitable contributions to the township. That is not the township's email. Just wanted to make that clear. That was not an official email account. We posted something on our social media. So just want to make that announcement. Okay, thank you very much.
Just one point that I have, Erica, on the purchase of Brinco, as soon as that happens.
Oh, I missed something.
We've got to be ready to go with the projects that we need to complete
Yes.
by contract.
Yes, we have, we're working on the budget right now, the scope of work, including the NPDES permit.
Good.
And I missed the second page of my report because it's so long. The Building and Zoning Department, we have 30 permit applications processed. We're in our busy season. Finance Department, we're working on our June report. And in the Road Department, that road crew is really doing a lot of work to Flint Road. So that's been taking up a lot of their time, and certainly frequent rain events. We have Flint Road and Schoolhouse Lane now preparing for that paving this summer, and the materials were ordered for French Creek, the arch replacement. Thank you.
Bertie, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Regarding the music festival, residents have asked me whether we're going to be compensated for your time and the chief's time, because I know that there has been a lot of time.
We do have a police services agreement out to the promoter right now. We don't have it signed yet, but it does have the value for the services, at least for the police right now. Yeah.
So the township won't be compensated for your time?
We don't have an agreement for that. We're just, I mean, my time is just helping with the coordination at this point and doing business of the township, but yeah.
Can I ask your thoughts on this? Should we be compensated for?
Well, I
this
guess
time?
it depends if it goes above her hours. You know, she's putting in more hours than she normally does, or other work is not getting completed, then it would make sense. They should be paying something.
And you're okay with that?
I hadn't thought about it before this moment. I'm trying to stay at arm's length on this. I'm trying really hard to stay at arm's length. But my thought process goes, I guess the police do spend time at the war showgrounds. We've never paid an invoice there, and they do not the same quantity of hours, but something. So I guess I would say the township, normal course of business. But Erica, do you have any experience or something like this in the Pottstown area?
Oh yeah, I mean, with the fact is we don't really have a formal, event process application where they're filling something out and say they know ahead of time what they're getting into. Certainly there are associated overhead and costs. I think we get through this year and make sure that the specific requests that they've made for service that day are met. We need to have that security in advance. So we're certainly working on that, and that's before them now. So we're coordinating on that. But I think we need to evaluate if I think they want to come back. They've said that this is the region they want to be in, but we want to let them get through this event and see how it goes. I mean, there's a lot of factors they're dealing with now, especially with the shuttling of the vehicles, or the buses for all the attendees. So I think that's an unknown they're working through right now, so.
Great, thank you.
But in your dealings with the borough of Pottstown, did you have any situations like this?
Reimbursing for administrative costs, no. But there were certain permit fees to take care of any departmental review that was justified through it, yeah.
Okay, well, let us know after the event how
Sure.
much time
Mhm.
and you and the chief have spent on it. And
Well,
anybody
the chief
else.
is being reimbursed hopefully with the contract, the whole police department.
Right, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It would just be the administrative staff that we don't have
Right.
any agreement with.
Yeah.
Is that,
Tara? Everybody's got to be able to hear. Thank
is
you.
that reimbursed for expenses going forward or back from the beginning? Because I know Mike and Eric have spent a lot of time to date.
I think what was
That
stated.
discussion was started right in one of the first meetings, the amount of reimbursement.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Good. that-
And Mike's been tracking his time.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you likewise? I think it'd be good to make sure they appreciate how much time the township has given of Erica's skills when and if, so, thanks. That was my question, since when?
Thank you. Maria?
I'm glad you brought it up, and it's a really good question. how do we handle other events that occur in the township with the police, particularly like the Iron Tour? That had like 1,000 bikers, I understand, that came through, and the police were involved with that. Do we get reimbursed for that as well?
I think it's a really good comment. The chief and I have talked about this, and, you know, even apart from having an ordinance where there's a permit application, there can be a general application so that at least when these requests come in, we know the who, what, when, where, why. And it's not, you know, we have the linear process for people to follow. But we can start there and look at what is the best fit for us. I think that's a good recommendation that we should look at.
This is the first time we're ever charging for
Yes.
services.
Yeah, it is.
Any other comments from the audience? Sarah?
Just about forgot. yours.
Mike?
I'm trying to
Sarah.
remember first. Do you have one in the meantime? Brian?
Mike, wait, Mike.
He's calling me Mike. No, he's
Don't
not.
get confused.
He's not talking to that other guy. It wasn't about roads, it was, I have to go back to your report.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, can I take a quick look at you? It wasn't about roads, it was.
Planning, blood drive,
No.
meetings, bridges, Bryn Coed.
Oh, exactly. It was about Bryn Coed because John made a comment about things required, oh, damn. Things required by contract. What things required by contract? What are the time, because you were acting like we've got time-sensitive things we need to get to.
I'll tell you.
What are those things and what is the time frame?
When-
Thank you.
Trailheads.
Yeah, well, okay, within our agreement right now, we have a feasibility period before closing. We had to obtain commitment for title, so we just know about easements and different things on the property. That took a little time, what doesn't? We finally have that. We have that over to Natural Lands, and they have receipt of that. They have receipt of our appraisal at this point, so we're getting final documentation together. So it's just giving that legal amount of time for that review. So that's going to be done. But then, per the conservation easement, we have certain periods of time to establish the trailheads, the demolition of buildings, that kind of thing. And that's more specific, and I don't have that at my fingertips.
After closing,
Correct,
so the clock doesn't start yet.
correct.
Okay, but you don't have those timeframes.
No, I know we know in generalities.
But John's worried about them, so can you
Well,
share
some of them
that?
were, I think some of them were
They-
around 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
One is 6
Yeah,
months,
the
and that's
trailheads.
connecting
The trails.
across to their trailheads.
Yes.
And that could be one reason why we haven't closed, because their trailheads aren't in yet.
They're not, right.
So the clock can't start on that until,
Mhm.
so that's not. But there's other things, there's a couple minor ones, but there's, the parking lot has to be established and the parameters for, you know, X amount of cars and X amount of horse vans, and that's got to be laid out and signed. And
Also 6 months?
No, I think that one's 18 months, but I could be wrong. You know,
I think you're right.
the older I get, the shorter my memory is. I knew this stuff 3 or 4 or 5 months ago when it was talked a lot about, but now I'd have to go back and look. But she has the list.
Is the agreement on the website, or will it be on?
The conservation easement,
Okay, but not the conditions.
I think the conservation easement has the conditions.
It does, what we have
Yeah.
to accomplish in certain timeframes?
Yeah.
Oh, so it might be on the
Okay.
website.
I'll look it
Yeah,
up.
pretty
Thank you.
sure. I'll check.
Is Bryn Coed, is Natural Lands on schedule for their soft opening in September?
Well, my latest is that they're on track, but they're leaving it open-ended. That's all, that's just what I know right now.
So maybe we slip as they slip.
They've some work to do, so I have not heard a concrete date.
Yeah, it's not hard and fast, specific date and
Yeah.
time now, but there is months from the time we take the property, stuff like
I'll look it up, thank you.
that. Any other comments? Harriet?
Have we decided to have a professional documentation of the cow barns? Bob Wise made an offer to the township that would not take any of, he would not get paid at all for that. There would be some payment for Seth Hinshaw, his assistant.
No, we
Do we
haven't,
need
we haven't decided, I don't think we've even discussed it.
I think it was, the estimate was just under $3,000?
Definitely.
Just under $3,000, right? Yeah. I was submitted a proposal for it, so it's just for review. So it's.
Okay, I just want to, it's a professional documentation of something that has got some historic agricultural information. And
Right.
just wondered where we stood.
You want
I
to-
can send-
It's not new to you.
You want to share that
It
with the
is, I haven't
supervisors?
seen it.
I don't know whether you've seen it or not, but you've heard from me that we had a recommendation from Chester County Historic Preservation Network and Karen Marshall, who you met, that it's very important to document our legacy farms before they're substantially changed, like by demolition. I mentioned it before, Erica's had it before. I suspect she might even have sent it to you before, but y'all didn't read it
So who
because it
wanted it
wasn't
done?
timely.
Who wanted it?
Chester County Historic Preservationist.
Are they paying for it?
That's a no?
You said no.
But they are not funded for something like that. Now, if you guys want to look for funds for it, you have to tell us so that we have your
Well, we didn't know about it,
authorization.
I mean-
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't think of anything. I still haven't seen it.
It's fine, I can send it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. But just because you didn't read it doesn't mean you hadn't had it for,
It was talked about, but there's no money assigned to it yet until
well,
just now.
there's that, because as long as you don't talk about it, you
Sarah,
can't assign money to it.
Enough, Sarah.
I think the point is that if you want to go ahead with it, we can do a cake sale. Some
Erica,
kind of
in the
fund.
middle of that banter, Erica was going to supply it with the supervisor
That's
so we can
fine.
begin that
Okay.
process. Any other comments? All right.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I have to.
What's that?
I just, on that same note, Eric, I did give you someone that would do it for free. So, who is a professional historic indoor photographer, who comes from like Wisconsin, but is just relocated to this area and has offered it for any historic structures we have.
You provided that to Vic Laubach,
I did, I
right?
gave it to
Okay,
Vic.
okay.
Good, thank you.
Okay, next is the approval of the bills list. Tonight's bills list is, the township bills list is $62,056.38. The reimbursable bills list is $13,299.62. And the subdivision utilities bank bills list is $82.30. Notice how that went down. All three of them total $75,438.30. Do I have a motion to?
First, and do you have to read the ratified bills?
No. Have a good reason.
We haven't had it for a while, so it's not for a while. I move that the board approve the bills list dated July 2nd, 2018, in the total amount of $75,438.30.
I'll second motion.
Any comments from the audience? Artie?
I have a question for you on this. I see residential code services, I see commercial code services, and then zoning code services for almost $6,500. Since both of those, residential and commercial, are represented, what is zoning code services for $6,397?
I believe that's payroll.
Zoning code services are zoning hearing process applications, zoning hearing officer time, all of the various inquiries we have. We have a lot of work we're doing with the Historic Resource Subcommittee right now. I mean, this is the zoning officer's time, our phone calls and inquiries we get about subdivisions, subdivision reviews, all sorts of things that our zoning officers handling. The residential and commercial building code covers the plan review and the various inspections done for the residential, commercial properties.
Well, the inspections would be under either residential or commercial, wouldn't they? Those people.
For those applicable permits, but not for zoning permits per se. So,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
And Maria?
Under William Dietrich, there's the reimbursement for community gardens. So have we also received funds from the gardeners? Because we were told at Parks and Rec that they contribute to that and they pay for it.
No registration fees?
No, that they were buying the soil themselves.
Okay, I will check.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments on the bills list? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, I believe we have a report from the Sustainability Committee.
All right, so at the West Vincent Fair, if you get people who aren't from West Vincent and they come to West Vincent, they're always impressed that we have a sustainability committee. And not only do we have a committee, we have T-shirts that we made last year for the Sustainability Fair, and they are pretty awesome. And so we raffled 3 of them off at the festival in the park. So if any of the winners are here, I did talk to at least one person on the phone who thought he might be able to come tonight, but then I promptly forgot to bring the ticket, so I could call your name. Are you Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, come on up. I was hoping I remembered the name right. There you go. Thank you very much. And this is pose here for a photo if anybody is quick with the phone.
Hey,
You got it,
everybody. Keep smiling.
I do it, but my phone went swimming with the fishes and it no longer takes photos.
Dear.
Dueling.
Okay,
All
Dave.
right,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for entering. And we got some great suggestions of what people do for sustainability. We have a poster that Gail created that, last I saw it was out in the lobby, and I had actually taken the suggestions that people wrote of what they do for sustainability and it stuck it on the back of that poster, so we may still have it floating around if anybody wants to see that out of curiosity. Right, thank you.
Does he have something that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, did you have it? Yeah, come on up.
I was actually at one of the first sustainability fairs with this electric car.
Oh, awesome.
And we do take sustainability serious. We have solar on our house, and there's a solar battery-operated riding mower that we built.
Wow.
So you can have these.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'll share them with the rest of the committee at our next one. Thank you.
I'd like to see that lawnmower.
Yeah. You want to try it out?
Self-driving.
Good start, Joyride?
said that.
There you go.
Yeah, it reminds me, not that this is anything similar to this, but when I was growing up, the people across the street used to mow their lawn with gang mowers pulled by a Corvair. They were the talk of the town for a while. Next, we've got no announcements, we've got no correspondence. Subdivision, land development, 16-year subdivision extension request. Erica?
Okay, I think you're familiar with 16 years. They just need more time to work through their subdivision plan and their requested extension through September 30th, 2018.
I move to approve the subdivision extension request for 16 years LLC.
There's a second.
I'll second this.
Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next is Amanda Maxwell, 1830 St. Matthews Road, subdivision, same thing, extension request? Erica?
Yes, you got it, same thing. This is a property right on St. Matthews Road, near the Brickworks subdivision.
I move to approve the subdivision extension request for Amanda Maxwell, it's 1830 St. Matthews Road.
I'll second the motion.
Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Old business. Road program priorities. Gentlemen, how do you want to start this one?
Just read your list, I guess.
Erica gave us a list, and she and I talked about it today, and it didn't quite go as far as I was looking for. What I was hoping to do is to come up with a 3, 4, or 5-year plan with dollar figures attached, so we can actually put money aside in the near future in certain financial instruments that make that money available at the highest interest rate at that time. For instance, if a road or Buttonwood Bridge is a $1 million project and we're going to spend that money in 2021, then let's put it in a CD, that amount of money in a CD that gives us the highest rate. And anyway, so that's what I was looking for. So apparently Eric and I thought alike, and we have our proposals, but
Yeah, what I did, just to add to that, is I worked up, well, what I did was gather priorities, and with the board, staff, Cedarville, just with observations and issues over the years, and, you know, just pressing things that may be more health, welfare, you know, and major issues, and then going down to just general, you know, paving projects, that sort of thing. And what I have done is broken out a few cost estimates, draft form, of course, but there's 2 pages I've added as a spreadsheet for a 5-year period. So it breaks out those projects with estimates very similar to, it's akin to a process like a transportation improvement plan through the state, where you add, they need a program just like this, and they will do that for, to anticipate grants, to anticipate their funding allocations, so it looks at funding in terms of blocks. So these things can certainly be refined. But for planning purposes, at least it gives us, you know, a guide moving forward. So there's definitely engineering permits needed and some legal work associated with the projects, more so legal work potentially with Buttonwood Lane Bridge. But you'll see my estimates here give us a grand total for 5 years, about $5,355,000, based on Buttonwood Lane Bridge, Kimberton Road, the second phase of Schoolhouse Road, various culverts, Janie Lane construction, Art School Road, Shady Lane, Hilltop. I mean, the list goes on here as presented. But this falls right in line with the road program report. So,
you mean the original one from
Correct.
2016?
yes.
And updated, it's been updated.
Yes. And this does not take into account every year looking at general maintenance to dirt and gravel roads and to, you know, chip sealing. And, you know, the general fund has been handling that right now for, you know, doing that in, let's say, 1 or 2 projects if we can do it. So.
The audience doesn't have this in front of them, does it?
No, it's a
Did you make it?
draft right now for your.
Regarding your 5-year investment, right now interest rates are climbing, so I don't think it would be wise to lock up money for that period of time. But the same token, you do want to lock up the money for these projects internally.
But if we can also get, I mean, how long do you not invest the money waiting for interest rates to go up?
Well, you just watch the market. Right now, they're going up, so you would do,
You could do
you
short
do
term.
6 months, you do 30 days.
Short-term
You do
lending.
short-term type of investing for now, and until it stabilizes, then you could go longer if you like. But the rate difference between a 3-year and a term product at Pliget is not much, so it's not worth locking your money.
When you were just talking, you didn't give your totals for each year, did you?
I can. For year 1, I had $1,450,000. Year 2, $1 million.
Hold on, stay there.
Sure.
That's engineering and permits for Jane Lane. It's legal and engineering permits for Buttonwood Bridge.
Right.
That's Kimberton Road engineering and paving. Schoolhouse Lane Phase 2, which is the northern section,
Right.
permits and engineering. Berlin School Road, Florence Springs culverts.
Correct.
So that totals $1,450,000. Okay, in 2020?
Okay, 2020 Jane Lane construction, Buttonwood Lane Bridge construction, if we can make it. Schoolhouse Lane Phase 2 paving, Art School Road engineering. So you're beginning certain projects as you're finishing others.
How much was that total?
$1,775,000.
And why don't you continue and go
Sure.
through 2021.
2021, Davis Lane, Cedar Mill Road culverts, Our School Road paving, Shady Lane engineering and paving, Hilltop Road engineering and paving, Dewey's Lane paving is $1,330,000.
In 2022,
Okay, Flowing Springs Road paving, Sawmill to Cedar Mill Road, French Creek Road, Pewtown to East Vincent Township line, South Beaverville Road, and various culverts, $800,000.
we had a total of 4 culverts identified, right? And you put 2 of them as Berlin School and Flowing Springs in
Correct.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay. And that leaves Davis Lane and Flowing Springs?
Mm-hmm.
One other thing,
Yes.
when we do Dewey's, can we check with the other townships where these roads are lining up and just ask them what their plan is? If they have a date when they're gonna pave, so we can do them together if
Yeah.
possible? So we can move things around a little bit to save a little money there?
That's a good idea. Sarah, you had a question?
I thought I heard Davis in year 3.
I can't
It
hear
is.
you.
Davis
Yeah.
is in 2021.
Yeah.
And then you had one more year left?
Yes, and I put miscellaneous projects and culverts kind of as a extending year of things, carry forward, but to be determined, as that would take care of all the roads that are in the yellow and red categories in our road program.
Okay, so that $5 million does not count the 2023, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Boy, we work closely. Really close.
Very close.
One other thing I just want to caution, on some of the major projects like Buttonwood Bridge and Flint Road this year, and projects like that, it's almost a slam dunk that it's going to be done, but there's always a chance that engineering or bog turtles show up or something that delays it. But it shows the priority that we're trying to do.
Right.
If we agree that in principle, I don't think we want to do every item on this.
Sure.
But in principle, this is what we're looking to do. I think we have to be prepared for that, but also budget in the proper year and then carry, I'm looking at you, John, carry that money forward into the next year to make sure it's budgeted. So just because we didn't finish a project in one year, we don't miss funding it the next year.
Definitely.
Sarah, you had a question?
Yes.
Or comment?
A question. What is our regular annual expense on the roads every year? Or has it been the average for the last 3 or 5 years or
It's $1
something?
million, right?
Yeah, we had, last year we had our liquid fuels carried forward, so we had a bit more. So it got to $1 million, this year it's about 800. In previous years, I think it was about 550,000.
No, you'd be wrong. I happen to have the last 15 years,
There
and
we
it
go.
comes to approximately $405,000 a
Oh,
year,
there you go.
So 400,000.
average.
Okay.
Our budget's $1 million, isn't it, for road, or public works?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is road repairs, this isn't road.
Yeah, I guess it
Oh,
depends
okay.
on.
It's just different
road-
prices.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
road repairs and the other is snow removal.
Say that again?
You've indicated that the $1 million isn't just roads, it's something else.
It's
Equipment,
everything.
materials, yeah.
Materials.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not including
So
the road
these-
crew salaries or
These
gas.
numbers that she just gave us compared to the 400,000 average.
Well, these numbers are for projects, so you still have whatever that number is
Is
for
we're still gonna have.
Well, but we've had-
2021, you'd add another 500,000 to that.
But
In
we've-
that
No,
budget.
no, some of
No, but
that-
we've
some-
had projects every year. We did Horseshoe Trail last year.
Some of that will go down because as we improve roads, for instance,
Well,
Flint
sure,
Road
and if-
isn't gonna need any maintenance next year, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to understand what the baseline costs are and then how much of this is in addition to the baseline. I'm sure John can figure out a better way to ask him.
I don't know whether you can do that, but it's gonna be something.
Well, the baseline, she's asking, how much have we normally spent,
Yeah.
and what's this compared to
Yeah.
that? And it's, 300% more, basically, the first year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were all under the assumption when we did it in 2016 that there was a 10-year project or 10-year window, and it was gonna cost us approximately $10 million.
Right.
That hasn't changed. As a matter of
Right.
fact, it's probably getting worse every year.
But the 400,000 that we've been spending every year, I don't think took on any major paving.
Well, Horseshoe Trail.
Horseshoe Trail was
Yeah,
last year,
that was a
right?
big one.
But
Hollow
what was our,
Road
what was our
Bridge.
spending last year then?
It was, well, you see, what we had budgeted versus what we were
Right.
able to spend is different.
Right.
So, $1 million
$1 million was budget, or what did we spend?
budgeted.
Okay, what did we spend? You remember? I don't.
Well, Hollow Road didn't get finished. Our truck didn't come in. So it was, that's gonna be less. So 600,000.
Okay, and how much were those two things?
The
If they
Hollow
would've got done.
Road, 200, 100.
Okay, so we were
Yeah,
pretty close
I mean,
to our
it's,
budget.
there's,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
So this year, we should be going, and what's our budget this year? Is it still at $1 million? So should we go over that?
We're good right now. What we had to do was take into account that Hollow Road carrying forward
Right.
the truck. And then also we're just planned paving, chip seal, and any miscellaneous other equipment we would need. So that's, and materials we would need for projects. So we have now, we're in a very good position now with Flint Road, Schoolhouse Lane, French Creek, and, potential for some equipment we need, the materials we need for Flint Road. So we're right in line.
So we should be able to get, we should be spending close to $1 million this year?
Yes.
Okay. So we're getting back on track, okay.
So, do you want to do anything with this, or just leave it as it is as a guideline?
I think it's a good guideline. You guys, both of you worked on it. I put my 2 cents in. Bernie?
I wouldn't change it.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Brian, Kurt.
Question for Mike. Are you going to request this be put on the website so that people that aren't here at the meeting can see this?
I see no reason why we can't do that.
Okay, can I make also one suggestion, because I've heard it so often about, oh, this is draft or it's not complete. Assuming that they're using some type of computer tools that includes putting a footer on each page, you can go and put Rev 0, you can put Rev 1, you could put the year and the month on it. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but that way everybody knows which version they're looking at as this thing changes going forward.
Well-
It's as a draft.
Yeah, and that will be, and this
Yeah.
could be put on with the road program that we already have up there. Yeah.
Well, the thing about, if you say draft, you could still go and have different revisions of the draft.
Yeah.
In which case, a footer with, rev number or, a date goes and identifies which draft you're talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Or just say current draft.
The only comment I have is I'm concerned about the culverts, and whatever year we think we have them, they could quickly become a priority next year,
Yeah,
next
you're
month,
right.
or whatever. And we have to be prepared to switch that around.
Yeah, I mean, we
Because-
had an issue with Mill Road now, we have to replace that culvert, and thankfully, we are on it and have the money to do it.
I don't know whether anybody else in it, but we didn't have all these road problems until Erica got here.
Yeah.
It's actually true.
Yeah, right. Storms.
John?
Some comment. One thought is that on Janie Lane, there's like 5 culverts that have been clogged forever. And it makes the road, it's just ruining the road, it makes the road worse. It seems like there should be some effort here to clean off those culverts and let them do their job that we spent a lot of money on.
Are you talking about the culverts down by Birch Run Road?
On Janie Lane, on
Down the hill?
on the high side, down the hill, there's 4 or 5 culverts. 4 or 5 receptacles, and I think they have pipes go under the road.
Stormwater, okay.
And they've been clogged a long time. The ditch there between that culvert and the road, I would think would be a big safety hazard. You're going around on a curve on a dirt road, up and down, and it's narrow, and it's got big gullies there and culverts that have been clogged up for a long time.
I think the road crew goes out every storm and does something.
No,
with
that's
that.
not a storm, they do it once or twice a year.
It's been, I don't know, it's been once a year. But at the same, and then at the bottom, there's a culvert that goes under Bertrand Road, and that's been clogged, I guess, for years. And it seems to me that the one simple thing would be to unclog that and see what works. You probably have an 18 or 24-inch pipe in there, and maybe maybe it works. Whether it's relevant or not, I've lived at that corner for 70-some years. And I used to get on the bus down there, and for 50 of the years, that road was fine. And they kept that drain clean, and it wasn't a problem. But now we've got culverts and ditches and safety hazards, and it seems like that should be addressed.
Well, we have, John. As a matter of fact, part of the engineering has already been done and ready to go. It's a 4-part project. The culverts on the other side needs to be realigned and widened because it's catching a lot of debris. And as soon as it does during a heavy rain, it floods into the creek and over into whatever their name is. Shoemaker's pool into their yard. So that's the first thing that was done. The second thing that what you're calling a culvert underneath the road, nobody has been able to figure out, but it has to be addressed. Something used to be working there and it's no longer there.
It is clogged. But why is it
They can't find the entrance to that.
on the other side? They can't figure it out.
They've tried, and it's like.
Well, some of them, if you drive down the road, you can see the black pipe on the lower side, and you would think it would be attached to the culvert on the other side.
It's buried, but I'm
And
sure it won't take long.
one place, somebody took the grate off, or it blew off, and it's filled up.
Just because you can see the end on one side and the end of another, it's in
You
the
can't-
middle, that's the problem, and
You
that's
can't
what they
find the
can't
middle?
get through.
Well, that's
But
tough.
let me finish, John, because it's important. It's my number one project that I've been trying to get done, and that's stormwater management on both sides of Janie Lane coming down the hill has to be addressed, and it will be as part of this. And that'll be paved from some portion from the top of the hill down to Beaver or Bertrand Road. And that's all scheduled, if this is correct, next year.
Okay, but I think John's saying that for the first 50 years, it wasn't an issue.
It wasn't.
The same road. So it sounds like the issue happened when that stormwater pipe got clogged
At the bottom.
at the bottom.
Well, I would say it's simplification. There must be the weather pattern changes of these heavy rains in short periods of time. I think it's had a very devastating effect that maybe hadn't happened for years and years. But it used to not be a problem for my,
Is there any way we can check and see if somebody could just clean up that pipe just to see if it
They've
does anything?
tried. I'm
They've
telling
actually,
you,
they've hired a company to come out and clean the pipe
Hey, I
out.
don't think they've hired a company.
I think you'd have to, it's all stone. You need some kind of drill to go through that tube and pull it out. It's not gonna be as easy as just hand tools to get the stone.
They can't even reach it.
Well, John, you say that you can see the pipe at the other end,
I think-
downside?
I don't know which one I'm referring to.
The one that goes across Birch Road.
I think you can. I haven't looked, but I could think you could see where the water trickles out instead of flows out.
I think there's companies that can actually do that. I'm not sure, but it's worth a
And
try.
one reason, on the uphill side, it's like 6 foot down. And my understanding is some years ago, they put like a little bit of a standpipe up on there, figuring all the debris will go beside it. And so there's probably an elbow in there. I don't know, maybe somebody will remember what was done. But it's not, it used to be simpler. That pond used to drain out there, we remember that, going back 50 years. It
But it
used to be a
definitely
steady
needs to be
flow of
fixed.
water down there. That pond doesn't do a steady flow anymore.
It definitely needs to be part of the fix.
I know.
And before I sit down, on the other dirt road, Hilltop Road, that's got some severe ditches down on it too. I mean, it seems like somewhere you should have emergency repair money or safety money or something.
Guide rails.
No, let's not go there. Destroy the country look.
You're right, Mike, sorry.
Brian?
Are there any drawings of the installations here, or is this a mission what's here before we keep going, go any further?
I don't understand.
Like
Can you repeat that?
do we have any drawings for what's installed at these culverts? What's supposed to be in the middle? What are at the two ends? And I'm gonna, generally, I've gone around and there's a lot of I'm gonna say stormwater inlets in township where you can see a grate there and you see gravel filled right to the level of the grate, which I suspect means that the water no longer goes through it.
Not very well.
Do we have any drawings of what is installed there?
Some.
Or is it all a mission of discovery when we're working on it?
There's
I
a
think-
combination thereof, but more so on the mission of discovery. I like that.
The answer to my
Don't like it.
understanding is, there isn't much in the way of archive drawings in the past.
Yeah.
That said, for this Janie Lane project, I haven't seen them, but the engineering has been done on the culvert?
The survey is now complete on J.D. Lane, and now.
What does the survey tell us?
All the conditions, all the topographic
So
conditions.
there you go, that's
Yes.
going to
Yes.
That's
All the
going to
grade.
baseline what's in
Yes.
there now.
That's a lot of work.
You triggered a thought here. I was looking at some other stuff, ground penetrating radar, and I was surprised that they're using a lot for bridges, for locating where rebar is, deterioration, et cetera. And I'm wondering whether, is there potential for it, that it could be used where we've got culverts that are under there with maybe giving us a clue as to, what's down there. And have it, line up a number of surveys in the township all one shot. Eric, I will go and shoot you the list of the companies that I talked to and the information I picked up on it. It was for a different application, but, hey, it's somewhere to start, the links for you.
Thanks you. Thank you.
Okay, where are we now?
7.
Now, on this, what do we do?
I'll put it on the
Just
website.
accept it? Erica's version?
If you'd like to take it, review it, make sure you're okay, if you think this is all right as far as the direction, we can fine tune it.
Well, we can always find it.
Yeah.
I'd rather get it off our desk.
All right,
than on
let's do
somebody
it.
else's desk.
That's fine.
So we'll put it on the website, and then when we make changes, we'll mark it as updated on that date.
Can be a guide moving forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I know nothing about road repairs, okay? But there is definitely some problem underneath the intersection of Birch Run and Jenny Lane.
Yeah.
Okay? All the older residents know about it, and nobody knows for sure what, but if there is a way to get a look at it through the ground or some other way, that doesn't cost you as much as a new culvert.
Hey,
Then
I'm
we'll
moving to
look
new
at that.
technology, it's amazing, that's fine.
Call
So.
PA one call.
One thing, John, is child labor has been outlawed. You can't get the 6-year-old kid to start at the discharge and keep digging its way forward. The serious point is, when you put this on the website, in the past, these have frequently been slapped onto or, put on where the meeting is, where it was discussed. Is it possible that we could have a location or reuse a location on the website where all this stuff is put, so that you can just go and say, look here, this is where it's being changed, as opposed to, look on the 16th of June in 2017, that meeting has the information.
There's so many documents, though. I mean, as far as this should be under Public Works,
Yeah,
along with
right.
the road report. That's fine, that's intuitive enough, that needs to be there. So, but the meeting date's just good for different documents that, were just one action oriented and not specific to a department. That's just my view on it.
Well, I think you're losing one thing is, once you have it on the website, you can place links to it at numerous other places on that website.
Okay.
It's not, they can just be one place. You can put it
Yeah.
with the meeting, and you can put it with where
That'll be
public
my
notices
plan.
are.
Yep, I hear you. Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
You got something to add? Sure.
When you get Brian's ground penetrating radar, I don't know about all of the intersections, but the same clogged pipe thing pertains at the end of Davis Lane. So when you research it, right now, it's working, it's just rushing down to the stream down the road, but it'd be better if the culvert were working. Thanks.
Davis Lane has another problem, and that could be the same problem that we have, I think, near Deweese, or further down Kimberton Road, where something gives way on the top and the center and starts collapsing. And once that happens, you can try to clear out the culvert, and I think that's what's happened at Davis.
I think these are unrelated. I shouldn't have called it the culvert. I think the culvert that you're referring to is the thing that the stream runs through. And there's a drainage pipe from an inlet on the uphill side of Birch Run Road that goes under the road into Chris Calhoun's property down to the stream. That one I don't think is working as it was designed.
Oh,
It's not what we call the bridge.
right.
Thank you. Any other comments? Peter?
Yeah, just some different suggestion for trying to locate the pipe, having a little bit of experience of that. Rather than using ground penetrating radar, which doesn't work very well on PVC pipe, you might be better off using a vacuum excavator, basically a vacuum pipe they can stick either in the end of the pipe and pull the gravel that's in there out. So not only will you be able to locate it, you'll probably fix the problem at the same time.
Thank you for that.
Sure, thank you.
Any other comments? Then you'll take care of all that?
I will.
Thank you. Can we cross that off my list now?
Good.
Okay, gentlemen, next we're on number 7, is it?
Yes.
Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Pliggett Investment Plan.
I move to authorize the township manager to set up 2 new labor funds. We're going to go with 2 or just 1?
We can do one. I have here 2 to split.
Oh, okay. I
The
see the
sewer sale
difference.
proceeds, yeah. Oh, sure. Just to give an overview, I provided a little history on Pliggett. Again, Pliggett is Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Fund. It was created in 1981 for local governments and school districts to do more short-term investments and gain higher yields through a pooling strategy. They offer very competitive rates, and they have 2. Well, they have a variety of investment options, but in reviewing them, rather than the CD, which you have to have a maximum of $250,000 within that, Pliggett has what's called a Pliggett Term Investment Account, and they have a variety of options for the interest rates for the sewer sale proceeds. Well, we had the 2 invoices we had for our legal costs, it brings us to $3,826,950. The 2 accounts proposing to be set up would allow us to have a 120-day maturity rate at 2.31% and then a 270-day maturity rate at 2.5%. That would split it between $1,913,475, so essentially almost $2 million in each. The reason why, when I met with the financial advisor at Pliggett regarding splitting that with maturity is that, as Mike had stated, the interest rates are going up, so it allows us to look within a few months and see where they are, and we can move that money. And then we could do that again in 9 months on the next $2 million. So this would be 2 new accounts set up, transferred over. We would also recommend closing our account at BB&T and WSFS. BB&T, we have our Lowick's Corner sewer plant funds there. We can move them over to D&B for now. And WSFS, we have very little funds. That was for our Stonecroft and Matthews Meadows. So that we're still D&B and Pliggett diversified there. We can certainly look at other options, but this would at least take advantage of the higher yields within the Pliget term program. Just to note, the rate's fixed for that full term of the investment. They will notify us upon the maturity date, and they will put it right into a Pliget checking account for us until we decide to put it into a new fund. What's different about Pliget is that it is not insured through the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, because it is not a bank, but it is insured through, or regulated through the Securities and Exchange Commission, and seeks to preserve the value of our investment by $1 per share. So every year we have our Pliget investments for our liquid fuels funds. And our auditors ask for a letter assuring that those assets are collateralized by other investments, which are low-risk investments. So I attached that letter here for your view also.
And currently, our money at DNB is earning 1.5,
Correct.
so it is a substantial increase.
Right.
Can you put a dollar amount to that?
We could have
Rough.
tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, about one,
Yeah.
I'd say 40 to 50,000.
Yeah.
An increase in interest.
Yes.
No, the
Oh,
DNB
for
just
the-
went up. A
Yeah,
month
it did
ago to
just go
1.5.
up. Yeah, I know.
They were forced into that. So let's see, 1.5%.
That's why I said, yeah, it's up.
5 million, it's 50,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, probably went up by 40,000.
Yeah.
Somebody apparently was doing their job, and it wasn't me. Thank you, Mike and Erica. So we have
So we have a motion, do we get a second?
No, second. I'll second the motion.
Comments. What we're doing is authorizing Erica, just to recap, Erica to set up 2 new Pliget accounts with approximately $1.9 million in each account.
Yes.
Last chance for comments. Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority operation and maintenance of the Hankin wastewater treatment plant agreement.
I move to authorize the township manager to sign the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority Operation and Maintenance Agreement of the Hankin wastewater treatment plant.
I'll second the motion.
Erica, do you want to explain what this is and why it's
I
necessary?
can, sure, okay. So the sewer sale did not, as a post-closing item, we included the Pulte sewer plant. Noted here is the Hankin wastewater treatment plant per the settlement agreement between the township and Hankin and those parties. The actual plant itself, because of our settlement agreement, it's been very close to dedication, but not close enough so that we could dedicate right to Bucks County. Bucks County is very interested in getting in there and maintaining and operating the plant, so they know the nuances of the plant sooner than later. So this is an operation and maintenance agreement that would allow that to take place as of August 1st. And thereafter, the plant would be dedicated straight to Bucks. That was part of our agreement. But until they're ready to do that, this would just set up the means to have the operating done. But per the settlement agreement, we still need to take care of the billing for that period.
Oh, you do?
Until it's dedicated, yeah. Yeah. So-
Any comments from the audience on this?
So, okay, we're taking care of the billing, is that our money?
Well, it's our money, but through the agreement, we're also paying for the operator costs and the
Okay.
lab costs and the associated costs.
Okay,
So we're
do you know those
balancing it out.
figures? The balance to equal, or are we making money?
No, because we're not, well, it's hard to say. And the only the reason I say that is because this is a new startup. And the Pulte had put together a sample budget, we have the budget on the books. We've been tracking it, but, the plant is not, or the plant is not fully or it's fully operational, but it's still working out some issues. And then at the same time, we have some users, but certainly not all, at the development.
Okay, well,
So
is
we're
in
balancing that out.
In the agreement, does it indicate that we cannot take a loss?
Yes, any deficit would have to be paid, yeah,
By
there's no,
Fox.
yes.
Okay.
Or it would be paid by Pulte,
Oh, well, okay.
yeah.
So our rates, our expenses could never exceed our income?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
How will this affect any escrows we have with pooling?
doesn't.
There's nothing in those accounts where they transferred to Bucks County?
Escrows for the development itself, so that's separate, so that'll be on the building side. So this just deals with the settlement agreement where it pertains to the sewer plant only.
So they didn't have to put an escrow up for the sewer plant?
Yes, oh, yes.
They did have an escrow
yeah.
for the sewer plant, so when does that get released? I mean, when we take dedication, or Bucks takes dedication, then we're gonna have to pay, we will pay that, we'll give back that escrow?
Yes.
Is that the timing?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a good question.
Any other comments? We have a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing that there's no new business, we're on to public comment on non-agenda items.
I have an old business. Is it old?
You have an old business? Okay.
The EAC asked you folks to consider having a historic commission. And I just wondered how the discussion was going. We've heard that our ordinance already has a lot of information in it describing a commission, so that it wouldn't take a lot of legal money to get it going. And the EAC was feeling that they were spending too much time on history questions and not enough time on environmental issues. And I just wondered, when are you going to get a commission, historic commission, or how are you proceeding?
Well, I believe we haven't proceeded very far, if at all. At least I
That's why I
haven't,
asked.
so I apologize for that.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because I want to make the EAC happy.
So thank you for bringing it up, seriously. Gentlemen, I'm gonna have to refresh myself on this, so I need at least until the next meeting to come up with my opinions, and I apologize for that. Is that okay with you
Yeah, I
guys?
haven't heard anything. Has Joe worked on the ordinance?
No, I was gonna talk with Joe about this.
Okay.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
Joe's fault.
There you go. Joe's not here, so it's
He
definitely.
and I are playing phone tag like crazy, so yeah. No,
He can
I
cut his
talked
bill
about
in
it.
half for that,
Yeah, it's true.
as an
All right.
apology.
He'll be at that second meeting.
So we'll bring that up next.
Yeah, I
meeting.
think, I have it on to be listed, so.
All right.
Could you send out any documents?
I sure can,
Again
yep.
to us, so.
Yep,
Thank you, Eric.
sure.
Don't let us forget it next week.
Nope.
Or 2 weeks. So now we're on to the public comment on non-agenda items. Sarah?
Hi. Erica may have talked about the Phoenix Regional Comprehensive Plan and Landscapes 3 before I got to the meeting. But one of the interesting things that East Pipeline did was the supervisors met with their committees, like the Planning Commission and the EAC and others, to get feedback from the committees and make consolidated feedback on Landscape's previous draft. Since we have 2 big plans that we need to review this summer into early fall, I wondered if you all had given any consideration to how your committees and you guys will get comments for those 2 entities.
I'm not sure I know what we're speaking.
Landscapes 3 is the county's comprehensive plan and replaces Landscapes 2. Susan Elks is the project manager. She you were at the briefing up at Hankin. So they've got more revisions made. They're still calling people elderly, but they might still fix that. I saw Brian O'Leary a couple of weeks ago. He said if our municipality or we and our neighbors wanted to have them come out and talk to us about the plan, they are willing, able. Jamie was at the last Phoenixville meeting. She said same thing. Susan Elks came to Northern Fed. They really want to get the word out so that the municipalities know what the plan is going to include, but they also want feedback before they solidify. They are hoping to have it finished by the end of the calendar year, and so if we don't give them feedback, it's our bad. Likewise, the Phoenixville Regional Plan has a meeting coming up at the end of August. We're not quite so behind the power curve there because we've been giving feedback all along as it goes along. And there is this public meeting the last Wednesday in August at the Kimberton Fire Company, which will be a chance to get public comment for that document. Both of these things are voluminous and are up on their respective websites. So I'm just wondering if there's a way that we all can collaborate on giving West Vincent's point of view to these two entities. Thank you.
So what's your thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I guess I need landscape 3 plan in front of me so I can go through it.
I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
I couldn't quite get that.
I said I would need landscape 3, which is the name of the comprehensive plan, in front of me so I could go through it, and then I could comment on it. That makes sense.
Is that your answer too?
Yes.
Okay.
She'll send it to you also.
I'm going to send it to Erica because
There you go.
my email bounces.
Sarah, how many pages is it?
Hundreds.
It is,
Nothing's easy
but
or simple.
you'll be able to page through it pretty well.
Have you done? You read it for a while?
Erica, according to this email from Susan Elks, last Friday, hard copies of the mapping and recommendations were links, which were sent to each of our 73 municipalities to distribute materials seeking review and comment. They were all posted. I'll send this email to Erica.
I have it, I have one hard copy, so I was
Well,
trying to figure that out.
This one's got the link in it though, so,
That's what yeah, thank you.
okay.
Any other comments? All right.
At the risk of just stating the obvious, I started thinking a couple meetings ago that I think it's been about 7 years since I've started attending on a very regular basis these meetings. And back in the day, 7 years ago, nothing was ever discussed. Things were happening very much in a vacuum. And I started to really notice the change that has occurred. And I just want to state it if it's okay. Bring Co-Ed, for example, was completely discussed in public. And in the past, real estate deals were never done in public. There was an executive session for every real estate deal. And this was probably the largest real estate deal this township has ever seen and probably will ever see. And it was done out in the public, in the sunshine for the most part, that you as much as you possibly could do. And you got public comment, you got public's opinion on it, you got beat up, you got told you were doing a good job, you got, everything, but this board took it, and I think it's pretty amazing. And then the road program tonight that you discussed, I remember 7 years ago asking, meeting after meeting after meeting, is there a plan for roads? Is there, how are we doing this? What, what's going to happen when they redid the bond and they took $900,000 out of the bond to put in the road program, and we didn't have a plan for it. It all just disappeared. It went away. Sure, it went into roads, but it probably wasn't well spent. And then the investment issue, Mike, so I asked you, what's the dollar amount on that? I don't think that in 7 years I ever knew how much money the township was investing versus how much the interest rate was, or that they were even looking into higher interest rates. And $50,000 is nothing to really sneeze about. That's a salary. in this township.
No, that's a tar and chip on the road.
Oh, is it tar? All right, so it's a tar and chip on a road. It's something that, you know, none of you, I know you're not the guys that are going to pat yourselves on the back, and most of the people in this audience aren't going to give any credit to what's happening either. But I do want to say that it is noticed, and I think it's pretty remarkable, and I do think that it needs to be, you know, addressed a little bit better. So I thank you.
You're making us blush.
I don't mean to make you blush.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? And I'll entertain a
I
motion.
move to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming, folks.
These plans have to be signed.
The soft deadline from Chester County for the comments is August 31st, July 31st.
Yeah,
July
yeah, yeah,
31st.
did I read it today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, shouldn't we have like planning commission supervisor workshops together and review it together? And or at least divvy up the chapters or something?
Try to take most of the things that I think are important. If it's a lot, I change them. But I think some
Well,
words.
I don't think we ought to cancel the lack of interest when we have big plans in front of us. I think we should hold the planning commission to do a plan.
I'm trying to decide, do I go to
The garden.
I could say the same thing, but you can go to all these meetings here, that's easy. That's not what we signed up for, and you're not getting it.
That sentence was not about you, it was about the planning commission.
I want to.
It sounded like I was getting dropped.
No, I was saying the planning commission could be doing planning instead of canceling the meeting because we don't have development. We have work to do. It's not, I'm not talking about you, except that in this case, I think you've shown interest in planning. So I think you might want to take the opportunity.
So wait, maybe I'll
Let's have this discussion.
carrier, use it for a.
In 2 weeks or before that?
So, okay, so, art. Yeah, right here.
Yes, and there was another one.
There are things on the landscape plan.
Oh, I get it.
About how they represent
Okay, got it.
everyone looking up to it.
We're not supposed to
Both of these things.
No, please, it's fine.
Is this what we think of our future?
Thanks, Brian.
Is their vision in line with ours?